Hey, incredible viewers! Welcome back to our channel, where we unravel tales that grip your heart and ignite your soul. Today, we're diving into a Miami mystery so electrifying, so drenched in drama, you won't dare blink. Picture a cliffside mansion, a millionaire's perfect world teetering on the edge of betrayal, and a pregnant wife battling to unearth the truth. Will love triumph over suspicion? Or will a shadowy rival shatter a family forever? Stick with us to the end. This roller coaster of emotions is just beginning, and you won't want to miss a single twist. Smash that like button now to keep these stories alive, and let's jump in. The spring sun of 2025 scorched Miami's coastline, its golden rays dancing across the turquoise waves that lapped at the cliffs of Coconut Grove. Perched high above stood the Caldwell estate, a sleek fortress of glass and steel that shimmered like a jewel against the endless ocean. Palm trees swayed lazily around its edges, framing a mansion that screamed wealth and dominance. Inside, marble floors gleamed beneath soaring skylights, and a spiral staircase twisted toward a world of luxury few could touch. This was the realm of Ethan Caldwell, a 37-year-old real estate mogul whose name thundered through Miami's elite circles. With a chiseled jaw, piercing hazel eyes, and a tailored suit that hugged his broad frame, Ethan radiated power, arrogant, relentless, and utterly captivating. But beneath the polished surface, a storm brewed. Ethan paced the living room, his loafers clicking sharply against the marble, his mind a whirlwind of restless energy. He thrived on control, sealing multi-million-dollar deals, dazzling investors with his cocksure grin, ruling every space he entered. His empire, Caldwell Properties, had reshaped Miami's skyline with towering condos and glittering resorts. Yet today, his gaze wasn't on blueprints or profits. It was fixed on a glowing phone screen, a single message scorching his thoughts. "The baby isn't his. Don't let her fool you." His chest constricted, disbelief surging through him like a wildfire. The words pulsed with malice, anonymous and cutting, sent from a number he didn't know. Ethan's fingers shook as he reread it, each letter stoking a blaze of doubt. Lily, his wife of 6 years, was 7 months pregnant, her belly a gentle swell beneath the flowing dresses she wore. At 33, she'd once been his radiant muse, with chestnut curls cascading over her shoulders and warm brown eyes that melted his defenses. They'd met at a charity gala, her sharp wit slicing through his bravado, grounding him when his ambitions soared too high. But now, that memory felt like a fading dream. Ethan's breath grew jagged as he stormed to the windows, the ocean stretching vast and wild below. Could it be true? Could Lily, his Lily, have deceived him? The thought clawed at him, vicious and unyielding. He pictured her lately, quieter, more distant, her laughter replaced by weary sighs. He'd blamed it on pregnancy, on the strain of carrying their child. But this message, it warped everything. His pride, his trust, his very core trembled. And then, a name flickered in his mind. Victor Malone, the rival developer he'd crushed last year, snatching a $50 million beachfront deal from Malone's grasp. Victor had sworn revenge, his cold blue eyes glinting with rage at the contract signing. Could this be his move? Downstairs, Lily lingered in the kitchen, cradling a mug of chamomile tea. The scent of fresh oranges wafted from a bowl on the counter, a bright note against the gloom settling over her. Her hands rested on her belly, feeling the baby's faint kicks, a lifeline amid the ache consuming her. She wore a loose white blouse, her hair in a messy bun, strands framing a face etched with exhaustion. Once, she'd been Ethan's equal. Vibrant, fearless, a woman who matched his fire. Now she felt like a shadow, his growing coldness hollowing her out. She'd noticed his withdrawal. Late nights at the office, curt replies, the way he flinched from her touch. Last night, she'd reached for him across the dinner table, yearning for a spark, only to feel him pull away, muttering about work. Her heart had plummeted, a sharp pang of isolation piercing her. Was it her pregnancy? Did he see her as less now, her body softened by their child? Or was it something darker, something unspoken? Footsteps snapped her from her thoughts. Ethan descended the staircase, his presence a gathering tempest. Lily looked up, hope flaring, only to meet a face carved from ice, his jaw tight. He clutched his phone, knuckles white. "Ethan?" she ventured, her voice quivering. "What's wrong?" He stopped, his hazel eyes boring into hers, frigid and unreadable. Silence stretched, suffocating, until his voice slashed through it, low and biting. "Who've you been talking to, Lily?" The question struck her like a blow, confusion flooding her. "What do you mean?" she stammered, her mug slipping in her grip. "Don't act innocent," he snapped, stepping closer. He shoved the phone at her, the screen blazing with that damning text. "Explain this!" Lily's eyes widened as she read it, her breath catching, the accusation searing her like a brand. "Ethan, I don't know what this is," she whispered, her voice fracturing. "I swear." "Save it," he cut in, his tone dripping with scorn. He turned, running a hand through his hair, his back a wall of dismissal. "I need space. I can't even look at you." She yelled. The words crashed into her, shattering her resolve. Tears stung her eyes, hot and relentless, but she held them back, clutching her belly as if to shield their child from the agony tearing through her. Ethan strode out, leaving her in the silence, the ocean's roar a cruel echo beyond the glass. Lily sank into a chair, her mind spinning, her spirit bruised. Who would do this? Why? And Ethan? How could he believe it so readily? The man she'd loved, the father of her child, had just turned away, his faith crumbling under a shadow of lies. Upstairs, Ethan locked himself in his office, the phone still in his fist. Rage and betrayal churned, a tempest he couldn't tame. He'd built his life on certainty, his fortune, his name. Now it wavered, and Victor Malone's smirk haunted him. Was this his revenge? One thing was sure, the truth would change everything. As twilight cloaked the estate, the storm between them ignited. The morning after Ethan's accusation dawned heavy over the Caldwell estate, the air thick with the unspoken debris of their shattered trust. Sunlight poured through the towering glass walls, bathing the marble floors in a golden glow, but it couldn't pierce the frost that had settled between them. Lily stood in the kitchen, her hands unsteady as she sliced an orange, the sharp zest stinging the air. Each cut was a desperate attempt to slice away the anguish clawing at her insides. Her eyes, swollen from a night of silent tears, darted toward the staircase where Ethan had disappeared. His words, "I can't even look at you," ringing like a relentless echo in her battered mind. Her chest throbbed, a cavernous void where love once thrived. She'd spent the night replaying his cold stare, searching for a glimmer of the man who'd vowed to stand by her, but found only a wall of suspicion. Her fingers brushed her belly, the baby's faint kicks a fragile tether to hope, and a sob clawed up her throat. How could he question this? How could he question her? She pressed the orange peel hard against the counter, juice seeping into a tiny nick on her thumb, a jolt of pain grounding her in the wreckage of their unraveling bond. Upstairs, Ethan barricaded himself behind his desk, the ocean sprawling wild beyond his office window. Contracts and proposals littered the surface, his empire's lifeline, but his mind churned elsewhere. The phone sat beside him, that venomous message glaring like a taunt. The baby isn't his! He'd read it obsessively, each word fanning the flames of doubt. Victor Malone's name gnawed at him, the rival he'd humiliated, a man whose icy glare at that deal's closing still haunted him. Was this Malone's revenge? A dagger aimed at his family? Ethan's pride warred with shame, his control slipping as he barked orders at his assistant over the phone, his voice a jagged edge. Days blurred into a haze, each one stretching the gulf between them wider. Ethan unveiled plans for a lavish charity gala at week's end, set at the Fontainebleau Hotel to fund Miami's homeless shelters, a glittering showcase for his image, and a shot at a billionaire investor. Lily overheard him on a call, his voice alive with ambition as he listed guests. Politicians, stars, tycoons. A fragile hope flickered in her chest. Maybe this was their chance to bridge the abyss. That evening, she found him in the living room, her tone soft but brave. "Ethan, the gala sounds amazing. I'd love to go with you." He stiffened, his shoulders locking beneath his crisp shirt. He turned slowly, his gaze raking over her swollen belly, her wan face, the weariness etched into her features. His lips thinned, and his reply struck like a lash. "No, Lily, you're not fit to be there. People will talk. I need this flawless." The rejection slammed into her, brutal and swift, stealing her breath. She stood rooted, stunned, as he walked off, leaving her drowning in the sting of his dismissal. That night, her phone buzzed, jolting her from the spiral of despair. Rachel Harper's voice burst through, fierce and unwavering. At 35, Rachel was a force, sharp-witted, loyal, her auburn hair and green eyes a blaze of defiance. "Lily, what's happening? You sound like you're fading away. Talk to me." The floodgates burst, and Lily spilled it all. The text, Ethan's iciness, the gala snub. Her voice fractured with every syllable, tears streaming as she gripped the phone like a lifeline. Rachel listened, her silence crackling with rage, until Lily's sobs ebbed into ragged breaths. "Enough!" Rachel snapped, her tone a blazing call to arms. "Ethan's lost his grip, and I won't let him grind you down. You're Lily Caldwell, smart, fierce, the woman who held him up when he was scrambling. We're digging into this." Lily wiped her tears, a spark flaring in her chest at Rachel's unyielding fire. "But what if he's right to suspect me?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "What if I've lost him for good?" Rachel's laugh cut through, bold and unapologetic. "Lost him? He's the one losing you, Lil. That text? It's a setup. I'd bet my life on it. Someone's pulling strings, and I've got a hunch it's tied to that slime Victor Malone. Remember how he glared when Ethan snatched that beachfront deal? We're not sitting here broken. You're fighting back, for you and that little girl in your belly." The words hit Lily like a lifeline, hauling her from the depths. She straightened, her hands steadying, a steely glint sharpening her gaze. Rachel was right. She wasn't a casualty. She was a mother, a wife, a woman with a storm brewing inside her. As the call ended, Lily rose, the ocean breeze slipping through an open window, whispering of defiance. She didn't know who sent that text or why, but she'd uncover it. She'd claw back the woman Ethan couldn't ignore, the one who'd stood by him when Malone's empire faltered. The gala loomed, a battlefield she'd conquer, not as his shadow, but as his reckoning. Her heart thudded with fear and fury, but beneath it, a fierce resolve took root. Rachel's voice lingered in her mind, a rallying cry. This wasn't her end, it was her awakening. The Miami sun scorched fiercer as the week unfurled, its blazing heat a mirror to the inferno now raging in Lily Caldwell's soul. She stood in the master bedroom, the ocean's restless waves pounding the cliffs below, a wild chorus that echoed her surging resolve. Ethan's dismissal, "You're not fit to be there," still seared her, each syllable a fresh wound, but Rachel's fiery words had sparked a revolution within her. The despair that had once pinned her down now fueled a blazing determination. She wouldn't shatter, she'd soar. Lily faced the full-length mirror, her reflection a portrait of a woman bruised but unbowed. Her chestnut curls drooped, framing a face drained by sleepless nights, her brown eyes dimmed by tears. The loose blouse draped over her 7-month belly felt like a veil, cloaking the strength she knew still pulsed beneath. She traced her fingers over her stomach, the baby girl's gentle kick a whisper of courage. "We're not fading away, sweet pea," she murmured, her voice firming. "Not for him, not for anyone." The doorbell chimed, snapping her from her thoughts. Rachel Harper swept in, a tempest of purpose in a black blazer and jeans, her auburn ponytail swinging like a battle flag. She hauled a leather tote brimming with fabric swatches and a tablet, her green eyes alight with fierce intent. "All right, warrior," Rachel announced, dumping the bag on the bed. "Ethan thinks he can sideline you? We're making him choke on that mistake." Trailing her was Marissa Vega, a petite stylist with a platinum bob and a measuring tape slung around her neck, her confident grin promising miracles. Lily wavered, doubt slithering in. Rachel, I'm 7 months along. What's the use? He's already judged me. Rachel's gaze softened, but her tone cut like steel. The use is you, Lil. This isn't just about Ethan. It's about you reclaiming your fire. And when you storm that gala, he'll see the queen he's been blind to. Marissa stepped up, her voice warm yet bold. Pregnancy's not a weakness. It's a crown. Let's make it shine. A whirlwind of reinvention ensued. Marissa draped shimmering fabrics over Lily, deep sapphire silks, emerald satins, each one molding to her curves in ways that reignited her confidence. The mirror turned ally, reflecting a woman reborn with every seam. They chose a midnight teal gown, its fitted bodice accentuating her bust, then flowing over her belly in soft, graceful pleats. Silver embroidery traced the neckline, glinting like starlight against dusk. Marissa pinned Lily's curls into an elegant updo, tendrils framing her face, whispering, "This is power, not fragility." While Marissa wove her magic, Rachel perched on the bed, her tablet aglow with a darker pursuit. That text Ethan's obsessing over? It's no fluke, she said, her fingers racing across the screen. I got Tommy Ruiz, my PI buddy, on it. The number's a burner, but it's tied to Victor Malone. Remember that deal Ethan stole? Malone was livid, stormed out of the signing, swearing he'd bury Ethan. This reeks of his payback. Lily's pulse spiked, dread and revelation colliding. Malone? She echoed. He'd go this far? Rachel's jaw tightened. He's a snake. Lost millions. His ego took a bigger hit. Breaking you two? That's his game. Lily's mind flashed to that day, Victor Malone's cold blue eyes glaring across the boardroom as Ethan signed the $50 million contract, his smirk taunting the defeated rival. Malone had hissed a threat under his breath, a venomous promise of retribution. Now it clicked. This wasn't random. It was personal. Her hands clenched, nails biting her palms. Ethan might doubt her, but she wouldn't let Malone's shadow destroy her family. Hours later, as the sun sank, bathing the room in amber light, Lily stood before the mirror anew. The woman gazing back was stunning, radiant, unyielding, her brown eyes blazing with a fire Ethan had forgotten. The teal gown hugged her like armor, her pregnancy a badge of honor, not a burden. I look unstoppable, she breathed, awe threading her voice. Rachel grinned, clapping sharply. Damn right! But we're not stopping here. Tommy's call buzzed through, his gruff voice crackling on speaker. Burner phone, cash by downtown 2 weeks back. Pinged a tower near Malone's old warehouse. Can't nail him yet, but it's him, bet on it. Rachel snarled. That bastard. He's toast at the gala. Lily's resolve hardened like iron. I'm going, she declared, her voice ablade. Not just to prove a point, to end this. Rachel's eyes gleamed with pride. That's my girl. We'll get ironclad proof, texts, timestamps, whatever it takes. You'll walk in, drop the truth like a grenade, and watch Ethan's world flip. Malone won't know what hit him. Marissa adjusted the gown's hem, smirking. And you'll do it looking like royalty. Lily nodded, her heart thundering with fear, fury, and exhilaration. The gala was 2 nights away, a glittering arena where she'd reclaim her worth, not as Ethan's echo, but as his reckoning. As Rachel and Marissa packed up, Lily lingered by the window, the ocean vast and untamed before her. She pictured Ethan's face when she strode into that ballroom, stunned, humbled, forced to face his folly. Doubt gnawed. Would he believe her? Could they heal? But she crushed it, her will forging into steel. This was bigger than their marriage. It was about her, her daughter, her truth. The teal gown hung ready, a silent vow of the storm she'd unleash. Victor Malone had struck the match, but Lily Caldwell would be the blaze. The charity gala unfurled over Miami like a velvet dream, the Fontainebleau Hotel aglow with a radiance that rivaled the night sky. Its crescent silhouette towered over Ocean Drive, a monument to extravagance where the city's titans gathered. Chandeliers glittered in the ballroom, casting kaleidoscopic light across marble floors, while a string quartet's melodies wove through the chatter and clinking glasses. Paparazzi swarmed the red carpet, their flashes bursting like stars, immortalizing every dazzling arrival. Senators, moguls, Hollywood royalty. Ethan Caldwell reigned at the center, a monarch in his realm, his black tuxedo sharp against his athletic frame, his hazel eyes glinting with practiced charisma. Tonight was his crown jewel, a chance to polish his legacy and clinch a billionaire's backing. But beneath the suave mask, a tempest churned. Lily Caldwell emerged from the chauffeured car, her heels striking the pavement with a defiant cadence. The midnight teal gown flowed around her, like a river of starlight, its silver embroidery flaring under the camera's glare. Her updo shimmered, tendrils framing her face like a halo, and her brown eyes blazed with an unquenchable fire. The crowd gasped, whispers erupting. "Who's that?" "Caldwell's wife!" As she swept past the ropes, her pregnant belly a bold emblem of power, not frailty. Ethan's assistant, Javier, gaped, fumbling his headset. "Sir, she's here! You've got to see this!" Inside, Ethan worked the room, his laugh ringing as he toasted with VIPs, his confidence a polished shield. The sound faltered when he turned, his gaze snagging on Lily across the sea of tuxedos and gowns. Time fractured. She was mesmerizing, radiant, regal, a vision that pierced the fog of his suspicion. His chest seized, awe warring with the bitter doubt still festering within. Why was she here? He'd banished her from this night. Before he could react, she advanced, the crowd parting in awe, every eye riveted to her commanding grace. "Ethan!" she said, her voice ringing clear, slicing through the quartet's strings. The room hushed, a taut electric stillness descending. He tensed, his smile crumbling. "Lily, what are you—" He started, but she cut him off with a raised hand, her presence a blade. "No more silence," she declared, her tone sharp and unyielding. "You've doubted me, cast me aside, all because of a lie you swallowed whole. I'm done being your ghost." She drew a folded paper from her clutch, Tommy's proof, linking the burner phone to Victor Malone's warehouse. She thrust it aloft, her voice soaring. "This is the truth, Ethan. That text? Victor Malone's poison, meant to break us." Murmurs exploded, gasps rippling through the throng. Ethan's face blanched, his eyes flicking to the paper, then back to her. "Malone?" he croaked, disbelief splintering his composure. "You're saying—" His words drowned as a figure emerged from the bar's shadows. Victor Malone, lean and predatory, his blue eyes glinting with malice. He clapped slowly, a mocking rhythm, his grin baring teeth. "Bravo, Mrs. Caldwell," he sneered, his voice oily with contempt. "Didn't think you'd crawl out of your hole to play detective." The room recoiled, phones flashing as the scandal ignited. Ethan's fists balled, his gaze swinging to Malone. "You bastard!" he snarled, lunging forward, but Lily seized his arm, her grip iron. "Stop, Ethan! Hear me!" She faced the crowd, her voice resounding with unshakable resolve. "Victor lost a $50 million deal to Ethan last year. He stormed out, vowing to ruin him. That text was his weapon, to fracture your trust, to destroy our family. And you let it work." Ethan staggered, her words crashing over him like a tsunami. His mind spun. Every harsh word he'd flung at Lily, every night he'd turned away, every second he'd let Malone's shadow taint their love. Malone smirked, unfazed. "Clever girl. Too bad Ethan's ego's too fat to spot a trap. I lost millions because of him. Humiliated me in front of the whole damn city. This? This was personal. Enjoy your spotlight, Caldwell. It's fleeting." He moved to slip away, but security surged, hemming him in at Javier's sharp nod. The crowd buzzed, the drama unfolding live. Lily turned to Ethan, her eyes blazing with pain and defiance. "I didn't betray you," she said, her voice quaking yet fierce. "This baby, our daughter, is yours. I've fought to prove it while you locked me out. Do you even see me anymore?" Tears gleamed, but she stood tall, a warrior amid the storm. Ethan's throat closed, guilt flooding him as he truly saw her. The strength in her frame, the fire in her spirit, the love he'd nearly crushed. "Lily!" he rasped, his voice breaking. I I screwed up." The confession hung, raw and brittle, as the room held its breath. He reached for her, his hand shaking, but she stepped back, her gaze piercing. "It's not enough," she said, soft but resolute. "You broke us, Ethan. You chose suspicion over me, over our little girl." She turned, the teal gown trailing like a comet, heading for the doors. The crowd parted, stunned, lenses capturing every heartbeat of the saga. Ethan stood paralyzed, his mistakes anchoring him. Then, a jolt, a desperate clarity, propelled him. "Lily, wait!" he bellowed, his voice booming across the ballroom. He shoved through the masses, his pulse hammering, catching her just shy of the exit. He grasped her wrist gently, spinning her to him. "I'm a fool," he said, his eyes brimming. "I let Malone poison me, let my pride blind me. But I see you now, I see us. Don't leave me." She searched his face, her breath hitching, torn between the wounds he'd carved and the man pleading before her. The room faded, tension thick as fog. Lily's hand rested on her belly, their daughter's kick, a quiet plea for them both. "Prove it," she whispered, her voice a dare, a lifeline. Ethan nodded, his grip firming, a silent oath in his stare. The gala dimmed. Victor Malone hauled off in disgrace, his plot in tatters. For Lily and Ethan, the war wasn't over. But tonight, truth had claimed its victory. The Fontainebleau ballroom hummed faintly as Ethan and Lily stood poised near the exit, the gala's chaos receding into a distant murmur. Her teal gown glowed softly under the chandeliers, a stark contrast to the raw fragility in her brown eyes. Ethan's hand hovered on her wrist, tentative yet aching, as if releasing her would unravel their fragile thread. The crowd's whispers faded, phones dipping, yielding to a moment too tender, too honest for the spotlight. Lily's breath trembled, her gaze piercing his, searching, yearning, daring him to prove his vow. "I'll prove it," Ethan rasped again, his voice rough with remorse, a pledge forged from the ashes of his arrogance. He edged closer, his hazel eyes shimmering with guilt, the weight of his mistakes pressing down. "I was blind, Lily. I let Malone twist me into a stranger. But I'm here. I'll fight for you, for our daughter, every day." His hand brushed her, wiping a tear she hadn't felt fall, his touch quivering. Lily's heart faltered, caught between the scars he'd left and the echo of the man who'd once swept her off her feet. Their daughter kicked a quiet bridge between them, and a crack softened her resolve. "I want to trust you," she whispered, her voice frishing, "but it's not that." Weeks crept by, the Caldwell estate a fragile battleground of healing. Ethan scaled back his empire, handing deals to Javier with a humility that stunned his staff. He lingered at home, brewing Lily's tea, sitting with her as they sifted through baby names, small steps to mend the rift. One evening, he knelt by her side, ear to her belly, grinning as their daughter kicked. "Feisty like her mom," he murmured, awe lacing his tone. Lily's smile flickered, hesitant but real, her fingers grazing his hair, yet trust lingered just out of reach, a shadow of doubt she couldn't shake. One night, tension flared. Ethan, distracted by a call, snapped, "I'm trying, Lily. Give me a break." His voice sharper than intended. She froze, the old wound splitting open, her eyes flashing with hurt. "A break?" she shot back, her tone icy. "I gave you everything, and you threw it away." She stormed to the balcony, the ocean roaring below, her hands gripping the rail. "You two are a mess," she said, plopping onto the sofa beside Lily. "He's groveling, but you've got to meet him halfway, or you'll both drown." Lily sighed. her resolve softening under Rachel's blunt wisdom. He's trying, Rach. But what if it's not enough? Rachel squeezed her hand, fierce yet gentle. It's enough if you let it be. That little girl deserves you both whole. Her words lingered, a lifeline Lily couldn't ignore. Victor Malone's downfall splashed across the news. Lawsuits, disgrace. While Ethan barely glanced at it, his world tethered to Lily. They attended an ultrasound together, the screen revealing their daughter's tiny hands, a perfect fusion of them. Let's call her Mia, Lily said softly, her voice steady. Ethan's eyes welled, his hand clasping hers. Mia, he echoed, a vow. The nursery bloomed. Pale blues, a crib by the ocean view window. Ethan painting the walls, sweat streaking his face, a labor of love louder than words. Lily watched, her heart swelling, the cracks slowly mending. One twilight, as the sky blazed coral and gold, Ethan drew Lily to the balcony. The waves sang below, and he wrapped her in his arms, her belly nestled against him. I love you, he said, his voice unshakable. You and Mia. She leaned into him, whispering, I love you too. It wasn't flawless, not yet, but it was theirs, forged anew in struggle and grace. To you, amazing viewers, thank you for riding this storm with us. Ethan and Lily's tale shows love can fracture, falter, and still bloom again. What hit you hardest? Comment below. Did Ethan earn his shot, or does Mia's future hold more tests? Smash that like if this tugged your heart, and subscribe so you never miss a saga like this. Let's keep cheering for love's messy, beautiful comeback. See you next time.